like I said, we're in, by the way.
We're in.
So just
We're live.
We're live. So just chat how you want to chat. I'm gonna cut this bit out, what I'm gonna say to you. If there's anything, I'm not gonna ask you anything, man. Don't worry. Yeah. And if there is anything that you feel after that you think you said, then just let me know and I'll cut it out. Because the whole thing behind the podcast is actually just trying to get people to like humanize players. Yeah. What I used to get when I played, because I was at Watford, Wickham before I went abroad, is that there's like a big disconnect between players and fans, or if not, they just think you're just someone that you ain't. Do you know what I mean? So
I think everyone gets tarnished with the same brush, don't they? That's what I think it's always been with professionals.
Do you get what I'm saying? So when I started the podcast, it's to bridge that gap and to make people more human and to actually have real conversations.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time you get like the media side, which is, it's good, but people just want to know what a player's really like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that's literally
I feel like they're trying to bridge the gap a little bit on that now with all the new kind of inside different interviews kind of during the week and the build up on that, because obviously when you come off the pitch and you do an interview, it's like
speaking to me just a little bit more.
It's a little bit more like rigid. You don't really get to see anyone's character. You don't really get to see all that. So kind of doing these kind of things opens that up and, like you said, bridges the gap. So
yeah, because I don't really watch American sports, but I like watching like their interviews or stuff because they're just so human, and on platforms like this, but the equivalent in America, they're able to just go on and just be themselves. Whereas here, if I shove a mic in your face after a match, even if you want to say they're rubbish or you were rubbish, you will never say that.
No. And you've got to be careful what you say because it can always get misinterpreted as well.
It's crazy. Just say what you want to say. So here, you say what you want to say. It won't get misinterpreted. Depending on how I clip it up. So
I'm like Hitch from Lockdown, mate. From Hitch. I'm locked down.
Cool, but yeah,
right,
yo, Counterattack podcast for myself, Daps, Gabs, guys, keep liking, subscribing, sharing, all of that good stuff. Oh, obviously, this is the first podcast I've done since I announced my live show, guys. Which camera? That camera. And it's in New York, so I will be doing another one here again, but this one's in New York. So for all my New York listeners and whatnot, it's going to be at Red Bull Arena, October 29th, with Red Bull players, Bradley Rat-Phillips, well, he's obviously just retired, Aaron Long and Drew Yearwood. Tickets on Ticketmaster.com. 40% of tickets have already gone, so make sure you just go and cop that, and we're going to have a good time. So, and for more information, just go on the socials and you'll see it there if you don't already know. But yeah, guys, keep liking, subscribing, sharing. Thank you for all of the feedback. As always, the comments are always great. Let me know who else you want me to get on. I'm actually going to find the comments that ask for you. I'm actually going to find it, because I know you think I'm on banter when I say that.
Were there any?
No, I'm actually being serious. Like, and I'll tell you why in a sec, why I know people ask for you. But yeah, so guys, just let me know who else you think I'm going to get, who else you think I should get on. And yeah, that's it. But today we have, and I've actually been looking forward to this one, and I'll tell you why, which leads into the actual comment thing, because it's all good talking to, the podcasts that I enjoy most are the ones where I'm talking to, you don't mind me saying this, like seasoned. Like, you're a seasoned pro.
Weathered.
Yeah, let's go with that. But yeah, like you're a seasoned pro. So, and I always like talking to like you guys, because I feel like it gives the most realistic view of life as a player. Like, I had Sambi Lokonga on about 2-3 weeks ago. Had Tavares on. I've had Harvey. Those are like the big ticket ones, not ticket ones, but they're always going to get the most views because it's Arsenal and whatever. But you've literally been playing Premier League football now for 10 years, 9.
Yeah, this is my 10th season. Yeah.
Do you know how crazy that is? And this is what I was saying. Me and Bradley were talking about it the other day, and I respect Bradley a lot because he's done 19 seasons as a pro, which is a joke. This is his 19th year, and I played, but I dropped out of the leagues very early. So I know, or don't know, what it takes to be at that level and stay there consistently. And you see so many people come and go, but you've remained like consistent. So those of you that don't know who I've got Crystal Palace captain. You are officially captain, right?
Vice.
No, you're not. Why do I look at you as captain then? No, you are. So who's captain?
Luca Amaka.
Is he? Where's he?
What? Who?
Where is he?
Luca?
Yeah.
He's been on the bench. He's been in the squads.
Oh, I just look at you like
you're... come on and stuff.
Like you're captain. Like yeah. Okay, fair enough. Crystal Palace captain.
One of.
We've got Joel Ward. Yeah. So yeah. So first of all, how you doing, man?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, you've had training today, and obviously with 10 days, and is it 10 days to your next match?
1st of October, Chelsea.
So with all that happening, what's training normally like when you've got such a big gap?
Training when there's a bit of a gap. I guess obviously we didn't really envision having a gap. Mm-hmm. Obviously with the passing of our dear Queen.
I saw you pay your respects.
Obviously, we didn't see that one coming. So there was obviously that little gap, but we also had the Brighton game that was postponed anyway beforehand, and then international break. So training's been a little bit lighter, a little bit more light-hearted, 5-0s and some small-sided games and what have you. But then there's also the work side of it, so they get to push you a little bit more, get to zone in on a few of your, I guess, areas of improvement, whether it be gym, other bits like that on the pitch, and they can kind of work more individually because there's a smaller group staying behind that aren't necessarily on international duty.
So, quickly on the 5-0s and everything, does Vieira join in with us?
No, he hasn't yet.
Really?
He hasn't yet. It joins in on the rondos and the little the little bits like that, but not the 5-0s.
Yeah, I didn't want to get straight into Vieira. In fact, no, we're not going to get straight into Vieira.
I know. You couldn't help it, could you? Yeah. You couldn't help it. Straight in.
Yeah. You know what it is? I'm an Arsenal fan.
No, I would never have guessed.
Yeah, yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I'm from that era of. You know what? No, we can start here. I'm from that era of like Arsenal United, real rivalry. And the good thing is that you're not much younger than me. You're like 2 years younger than me, so you remember that rivalry as well. And in terms of what I remember most about that, and even growing up playing football, were the standards. And I always feel, which is where I get a bit, when people banter me about on this podcast about my views, it's only because I believe that there should just be standards. And a lot of the time, when standards aren't met, I can be a bit, but I'm really old school like that. But anyway, Vieira is from that old school. Wow. Vieira is from that old school mentality. How or what has he brought? Has he brought those standards with him, do you reckon, in regards to the way he coaches and his ideologies when it comes to football and you guys?
The unwritten standards, I think, and the basics of how you conduct yourself, how you apply yourself. Absolutely. I think you don't succeed and you don't achieve all that he achieved, one in his playing career, by not having that, not having that resilience, not having that kind of drive to be better, to get better and to reach the heights, and to have that consistency of doing the right things time and time again.
Yeah.
So when he obviously came to us, I think straight away he carries that respect from players, because as a fan of the game, you have to appreciate all that was achieved. So for him, he's always driving us to improve, to get better, to challenge the way in which we do things, the way in which we think, and he tests us as well. So it's great to see, and it's great to have, because you're learning from someone who's been at the top, and has won everything there is to win.
Yeah, and with him, he's obviously like a new breed of manager, if you know what I'm trying to say. So before you had the Roy Hodgsons, and Warnock was there.
Warnock was there. Big Sam.
Yeah, so like that.
TP.
Those are like who?
Tony Pulis.
Oh, Tony. Yeah, so those are like the older managers and whatever. This is like the new managers who have played the game. They're young. They're bringing in new ideas and everything. What has been the biggest shift, do you think, in regards to his management style compared to like some of the other ones you might have had?
I don't know if it's, I can say huge shifts of differences, but the one thing that's kind of stood out to me is the attention to detail in the tactical side of things, I guess. How he wants to implement our style, the way that we play and the way that we impose ourselves on other teams. I think, like you say, I think I've been, fortunate to play a lot, and I've been unfortunate to play under some,
notable.
Yeah, like very seasoned, incredible managers that have come through the club over the years, that have achieved, so much in the game, and had such incredible careers. So, you learn something from everyone. But like you said, I think this is a different era where the game's constantly evolving. So new ideas, new ways are always coming into the game, and that's one thing that's always been apparent. Like as the time's gone on and as each season's rolled on, there's always something new. There's always a new challenge. But I think with the gaffer now, you're learning more, or I'm certainly learning more tactically, but also then looking at solutions to the problems as well. So we go through things methodically, making sure that we kind of look at certain different areas, and we kind of simulate different things that might happen on the pitch. So then you have to find a solution. Yeah. And he actually encourages the players to find those solutions. Yeah. Like he wants us to speak out and go, actually, what about this? What about that? Because then it gets the players thinking. And some of the lads who might be a little bit more quiet or reserved have to come out of their shell and go, actually, maybe this might be better. So there's always similarities through management, but the little tweaks here and there make differences.
Does it make you want to? In fact, before I ask that question, do you think the drum is not going to pick up on the mic? Don't worry. But do you think that if you was younger, so obviously you've got experience now, you've been through so many cycles, so many Premier League campaigns and everything. Do you think you would not struggle, but with this new way of it being tactically heavy? Do you think you probably not would have struggled, but do you think it's easier to adapt now that you're older? Or do you think because you've been doing it a different way for so long, it makes it that much harder, if that makes sense?
No, I think, to be honest with you, I think, as I said earlier, every manager has got their way of doing things, but every manager is so in depth in what they're doing. So say for argument's sake, Tony Pulis, we would be drilled, and you drill, repetition, bang, 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 constantly, until when a scenario happened, everybody on that pitch knew exactly where they were meant to be. So although it's a new style, a new generation of management coming through, the fundamentals are still there of making sure that we practice, but we do it on the screen, we do it on the board, we do it on the pitch. So there's 3 methods of learning. There's 3 methods of looking at different scenarios and how we can adapt and evolve. So I think for me as a player, I've kind of taken that on board, and I think you learn and you kind of lean against management, coaching staff, senior players, and just players in general, because everyone's got a different take on it.
Yeah.
And I've actually just kind of enjoyed that process from each manager that I've had. Would I have found it more difficult if I came in now? I don't think so. I think you've got an opportunity to really learn and develop, and there's more information out there now than there ever has been.
Yeah.
You know, there's more tech, there's more ability to learn the game. You know, nowadays you can have a live stream of the game and then rewind it back, so then they can look at the tactics and look at what they're doing or what their shape is. And, you know, you didn't have that 5, 6, 7 years ago or whatever it may have been. So you were kind of looking at that and relying on people coming down at half time and saying, right, okay, we can look at this, we can look at that. Whereas now you've got everything there and you've got the facilities and, you know, the coaching staff around you to be the best you can be.
Yeah. Oh no, I love that, man. And also I just love how you, no matter who the manager is that comes in, not for whatever reason, like, you play. Do you know what I'm saying? And you've had decent amount of games. Like, I was looking through, and I'm seeing in the league, I'm seeing 20 something. So it was one year you played every game.
Yeah,
it was 1 year you played every single game, and for me personally, I love that, because not only does it speak to your ability, but I think it also speaks to your attitude. And so if I talk about myself for a second, sorry, I was never one of those gifted. I was good. I'm not going to discredit them, but I remember I had a manager tell me, like, if I keep my attitude right, I'll always have a chance. And you come across as a person that just has a really, really good attitude. So, like, just speak on the importance of keeping your attitude right in regards to being able to have that longevity in the game and to be able to just, you know, perform at the level that you perform at.
Well,
and how difficult is it to maintain that same attitude?
Yeah. Well, thank you first and foremost for noticing that. Appreciate it.
Give them their I watch football, you
know. Listen, for me, there was always a quote, and I used to laugh about it with the guys years ago. But you know, hard work will always beat talent if talent don't work hard, right? It's a famous quote.
Is that because my boy MK, the one I was talking about, he says that every week.
Yeah, and it's true, man. I was never, you know, the most gifted, but I knew that how I applied myself was going to set me apart. And I think nowadays the challenge is, how do you set yourself apart? And I think it's too easy necessarily to just fall into the traps of, you know, just being one of the boys, being you know, kind of laughing and joking around and messing around. And there's time for that, but there's also time to get your head down and graft and make sure that you carve out what you want to carve out. Because, you know, we're all given our talent, we're all given our ability, but we've also got to make use of it ourselves as well. And we've got to make sure that we dedicate ourselves to being the best that we can be, whether that's in sport or just in general life. I think the way you apply yourself and your outlook on life is going to speak volumes of, you know, where you're going to go and what you're going to achieve, and how successful, whatever success means to you, how successful you're going to be. And also the people that you have around you. You know, I don't think anyone gets to the top without making sacrifices, without, you know, kind of not necessarily turning their back, but kind of distancing themselves from certain things.
Having discipline as well.
having that discipline. You know, I think whatever avenue you go down, if you can kind of dedicate yourself in those early parts of your life, you know, when a lot of people are out doing X, Y, and Z, if you can be dedicated and kind of have that discipline, then you've got a chance.
Yeah.
You've got a chance, because people nowadays, they look for the attitude before they look for anything else.
Yeah.
I personally think, you know, I think a lot of people would rather someone who will run through a brick wall for them than someone who's,
that was my next point.
You know, just going to kind of be a bit up and down.
And it's good that you said that, because my next point actually I had written down was that you're a player that I think most people would look at you and say, you just stay like that. Like, you get a good, consistent, no disrespect, but like 7 out of 10s, you might get an 8. You might have an outstanding game, but you're always going to get a 7 out of 10 minimum. And I think a load of managers and even fans watching the team appreciate that, because, you know, you get some players who have all the ability in the world, but sometimes they're up here, sometimes they're down there. Like, you've played with them, you've probably you played against them, and they kind of just get like sieved out. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas if you've got a player like yourself, you always just give yourself a chance. So like how do you just, even like your physical performance, how do you manage to maintain such a level, a high level? Because you do perform at a high level.
I don't know really. I think.
Do you think you've got better with age?
I think. Yeah, I think there's different qualities that you add over time, whether that be reading the game or just kind of knowing when to go, do you know what, I just need to look after it here, or kind of your experiences within the game, your knowledge of the game, your experiences. You know, there's a reason why I think it's valuable to have that mix, you know, in teams nowadays of having the youth and having the experience.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you've got to protect and kind of just grind it out when your back's against the ropes. And, you know, we certainly have had a few seasons where our backs are against the ropes, and you've got to kind of just grind it out. And it's not pretty, it's not nice, but you've got to get the job done. But yeah, I think, you know, for me, I've always tried to, like I said, apply myself in the right way, look after myself, whether that's on or off the pitch, you know, food, rest, recovery, gym work, making sure I'm listening and doing the right things as much as I can. Obviously, you have to enjoy yourself and you know, treat yourself now and again and have those cheat days, but which I'm guilty of.
What's a good cheat meal for you?
I say that I enjoy a curry.
Okay.
I like a nice curry. Yeah, a real cheat meal would probably be I don't know, like a good burger, greasy burger. Do you know what I mean? Something like that, a hot dog. Going to the cinema and getting hot dogs, you know, with all the toppings and everything.
All the onions, all the processed onions.
Everything.
Good for you.
Everything. Just chuck it all on there. And you got to enjoy that. And I think in my early days, I kind of got so fixated on kind of doing everything by the book. You know, setting curfews, kind of making sure that I was giving myself the best chance that, you know, and I think those things were great to do, but I also then had to find a balance of putting too much pressure on myself, doing too much and overtraining, and had to make sure that I learned to understand what my body needed and how my body needed it. And I think that's, you know, something for me I've always been fortunate of. I've had people and good people around me to help me with that.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, just like I said, I think my attitude of the way in which I apply myself on a daily basis has kind of given me a good foundation to maintain that level, to put in the extras, to come off the pitch when I need to come off the pitch, but stay on when I need to stay on, and work with people and learn and develop and kind of come alongside, you know, players that I've been with and I looked up to when I was younger. that have given me that foundation to be able to maintain and perform and get that consistency.
Do you think you were so heavy and didn't really have a balance because of what you said in regards to not being the most gifted, if you know what I mean? And do you think if you were a player that just, so if you was a player that, you walk on the pitch and everyone just knows you're good and, your place is solidified, it's all kind of just given to you. Not given to you, but you know what I'm trying to say. Do you think you would have been so like hard on yourself and not had that balance?
No, because I probably would have got a clip round here.
Fair enough.
From the family, I would have even my older brother or even my sister or my old man or mum and that, they would have brought me down to earth. Yeah. And a lot of people that are around me and were in my circle over the years would have swiftly brought me back down to earth. Yeah. To make sure that I stayed on top of things and kind of continued to grind and to work towards where I knew I wanted to be, which was a dream.
Okay, right. We're going to get into not that it's not been exciting, we're going to get into the juicy stuff now. But before we do that, actually, so this podcast is all over the place, by the way. There's no set whatever. But congratulations on being Crystal Palace's, I said it in your comments and that, but I'm going to say it in person as well. Congratulations on being you made the most Premier League appearances for...
I'm certainly up there.
Yeah,
I think it's it's Wilf, me and Macca. I think.
No, I think you've done more than Wilfried.
No, I don't know, because I had a couple of seasons where I was in and out.
The Wikipedia.
Hey mate, don't believe everything you read online.
You've made what 250? What I think it's 255 now, according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's in the league. In that, it's in that.
That's just in the league, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is absolutely ridiculous. And when you signed for the club in 2012, did you ever think that you would be there? Not only that long, but make that many appearances?
Listen, I kind of, before I even signed, I was sat down with my family and we were kind of like talking things through and, I was kind of saying, well, by the time I'm 25, I want to be knocking on the door of trying to, or would like to be, knocking on the door of the Premier League if I can be, and if things go the way I want them to go, which in football is never a given, right? But by the grace of God, we got there at 23 in my first season at Palace, and I don't think anyone really envisioned the club getting promoted that season. But and I think you probably would have seen it online and kind of on the documentaries and stuff that we had a unique set of boys, men really at the club at that time. Some big characters, strong characters, and just a real cohesion and a real belief within the squad that that grew. We were almost I think the term was a bunch of misfits that came together and created history.
Yeah, that was talking about that the bunch of that. Misfits, so you say. Crystal Palace has always, I don't know if it's because I'm from London, but Crystal Palace has always just been seen as a local club that has players that, you look at other teams and they're Premier League footballers, but you can't touch them. You can't really... Crystal Palace has always had that thing about them where you feel like, if I didn't support Arsenal, I think I'd support Palace. Do you get what I'm saying? And, you got players in there who could just be with you outside playing on the streets and stuff like that. And they just seem really personable, innit? And, what's it like playing for a club that's like that? And from the outside, it looks like they still maintained that culture.
I think that's you hit the nail on the head there, the culture. Yeah. It's deeply ingrained in the club and the way the club is, and that starts from the bottom. That starts from the top to the bottom. From the chairman, Steve Parish, all the way down to us players, the staff, the kit guys, the canteen, everything. Yeah, there's a culture. Everyone is polite. Everyone welcomes each other. Everyone says hello. Everyone kind of is together. Yeah. And I think that kind of stems from there. And I think that's a culture that's been born and bred in the club. You said there it's the local club, and I think there's always been that relationship with the fans. There's always been that rapport with them and with as the club and just the fan base and everything like that. It's an old school stadium.
Yeah,
it's an old school kind of vibe there.
Hasn't changed.
It's close. It's lively. It's it's just a good old fashioned stadium.
Hate it as a fan. Like when my team is going to play you lot, because you guys really, it feels a lot small. All of a sudden, it just feels a lot smaller than it actually is, and your fans really they don't stop.
No.
So, have you noticed how much of a tough place it's become to go to, like over the years?
Yeah, I think I've been pretty fortunate that the clubs I've been at, the fan base has been pretty special.
Portsmouth,
at Portsmouth. Bournemouth was obviously when I first went on there on loan. We were League Two, so obviously it was coming up. But at Portsmouth, the fan base is ridiculous. At Palace, the fan base is ridiculous. In that stadium, the atmosphere, and when it's rocking, it's rocking. You know it. But in the same breath, they'll let you know. if it's not good enough, and I think as players you have to be able to take that on the chin and accept that. And I think what fans want to see is you want to bleed for that shirt, and I think that's what is first and foremost at Palace. Everyone kind of gives everything and gives their all, and then the talent then takes over because we've got a ridiculous pool of talent.
Listen,
the natural ability of some of the boys at the club is beyond crazy.
And we're going to get onto the first team player as well. But obviously, my friend that coaches the young one, he speaks about the talent that's in there right now. And I'm also in like a group chat with people that are responsible for the intake of like the younger years and that. And they just talk about the talent within that club right now and how much of a joke it is. And then it's all the way up to, you see the first team and, you see the likes of, obviously Zaha's been there. He's just the, not poster boy, but you know what I'm trying to say. He's like the main one that people talk about. But then you got players like Eze, who's an absolute joke. I don't think people realise how much of a joke this guy is. And then Olise, like, obviously you play with them every day. And I'm not to single anyone out, but do you think people actually understand how good these people are? You see Olise, I honestly believe he's going to go on to like a top 4 club. And that's not just me being way out there and whatever. This is me seeing him from Championship, seeing him with you guys and just knowing he's got enough talent to do it. I think Eze as well, it's like playground football with him. Like, so speak on like the level of talent that is in the club right now and, how hopeful it makes you playing in that team with them.
It's exciting, right?
It's
exciting. To be honest with you, mate, it's a joy to be around. It's a joy to watch on a daily basis. And it's not just those boys. There's plenty of others who, offer so much to the team. In their quality that they bring and just, all round and like good guys as well. But Wilf speaks for himself, man. He's kind of carried the club in so many ways over so many years. He's been the figurehead and the star man in so many ways, and his talent is frightening. What he does on a daily basis, it makes you look silly at times. And you just have to kind of rugby tackle him to the floor or something like that. But it's the same with Ebbs and Michael. They've got such bright futures ahead of them. The sky really is the limit for them both. I think what they've got and the way that they apply themselves as well, their attitudes, their humbleness as well, is good to see and great to see. and their just willingness to learn and develop and push on and raise the bar. You know, the time that they take after training's finished to work on things and stay out and do things.
Yeah.
And look after their bodies and be in the gym and everything like that is, you know, I think it's only, like you say, it's only a matter of time. But I think for us as a club, we're, you know, for the last couple of years, we've been in a bit of a transition phase, you know, and I think now when you look at the strength and the depth to the squad, you know, you realise that with, obviously, I think the gaffer moving us and pushing us and developing us as a group and taking it to the next levels, I think it's an exciting period to be in. I think there's no real limit to where we can get to as a club.
With such good players, because I appreciate both sides. I appreciate the flair and everything, but then I appreciate the players who you just need to have in your team. I remember years ago, QPR can you remember Clint Hill? And he will never get any plaudits, but he was needed in that team. And I look at your team now and I look at you as one of those players, but then I also look at Anderson, who, if I'm being totally honest, I didn't think he was that good. When I say that good, I didn't think he's as good. He was as good as he is when I saw him at Fulham. And I just look at him now and I'm just like, bloody hell, like, you've got know-how, like, when your back's against the wall, he's a defender that you want to have in your team. And then you've got Gahey. But I'm not going to lie, the person I really love in that team is I always get McArthur. Is it McArthur?
Okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you need someone to just come and disrupt things, honestly, just bring him on. Just kick up a few people. But you need it. Do you get what I'm saying? And Will Hughes, an absolute player, Will Hughes. But these are the players that will never get the plaudits. You know, rightly so, Eze and whatever. But I just think it's important to have both sides. So I bring up McArthur because what's he actually like? Because I just feel like he seems like he's probably a bit of a wind up.
what a guy! Yeah, Maka is he's full of energy. He's a great guy. He's a leader. He's a good friend. He's someone who, you know, his knowledge of the game as well, his tactical awareness is amazing. And his ability is frightening as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's one of those players that probably has gone under the radar so much, but he's achieved so much in the game.
Exactly.
And he's a vital part of where this club has been and what this club has done, because of the quality, but the work rate, the effort that he puts in, and how he demands excellence from everyone as well. But he's a joker as well.
Yeah,
he's a joker.
Like the sort.
He's a big kid when he wants to be, which is nice, and it's good because, you know, he gets people up, he gets people out of their comfort zones, and, you know, joining in and having a laugh, and he bridges the gap. So he's all round, I think, like one of the most underrated players, I think, that the club has had over this period of time.
Yeah, when I see him on the pitch, I don't like it because I just know it's going to be.
And by the way, he can drop a shoulder, mate.
No,
his step overs and stuff like that. He's the Scottish Pirlo.
Players who get labelled with that, you know, they're just there to kick people up and whatever, are normally like the better players. So even like Roy Keane, people don't, you know, I loved Roy Keane growing up. Not all the time, but because of the Arsenal rivalry. But he's another player that people just look at him as, you know, the tough guy flying into tackles and everything, but he could really play. Do you know what I'm saying? And
you have to have that balance, right? You have to have that balance. You have to have those guys that can do that. You have to have everyone's got their role within the team.
What do you say?
You know, everyone's got their part to play to then enable the Flair boys to go and do what they need to do, but they also do muck in. You look at Wilf, even Yannick, when Yannick was at the work rate, the effort to get back in, and you see it at the top teams, like the top players don't just sit there and go, "Oh, you do that, we do this." It's a team effort to put in a graft, and they're the hardest teams to play against.
I always wonder, and I'm not going to try to draw you out with this question, but I always wonder what it's like for Wilfried Zaha, because he's not someone that talks a lot in interviews, outside of, after games and everything, fair enough, but in regards to like interviews, and he's not someone that talks that, but he's got this rep of almost being like a moaner sometimes, and I think he incorrectly gets labelled with that one. And it must be hard for him because he's always, every year, it's like Wilfried Zaha. Even when there's been times where people say, "Oh, you lot might get relegated" or whatever, but Wilfried Zaha's going to save them. What's it like for him? Well, you can't speak for him, but from what you do know, how does he manage to deal with that pressure and at the same time not feed into like the negativity that probably comes from some parts of the press sometimes? Do you know what he's like carrying that?
Like I said, I can't necessarily speak for him, but from what I see, I'd kick off a few times if I got kicked as much as what he did. And
I just seen he's like the most second foul player in the league. Already.
But I think Wilf carries himself in the right way. He's got, I think, good people around him off the pitch, and he can get away from things. And like you said, he's very much been someone who's carried the club for so many years, and he's taken that upon himself, and he's dealt with that. He's got broad shoulders, if you know what I mean. It's kind of, he's taken it in his stride and accepted that responsibility. And you have to forgive him at times, or you have to let him go away with things at times if he wants to, because you know what he's going to bring on the weekend. You know what he's going to do. You know his attitude, his talent, and you know that he's going to give everything when he's on that pitch. So I think he's taken it, and he's in many ways taken this club to where it is today. And he is the like you said earlier, the almost the poster boy. He is Crystal Palace through and through. In many ways.
Yeah, it must be so hard. But back to you though. You've made all these appearances. Playing consistently and playing consistently well. Would I be right in saying, again, if the way I deliver this is off, then forgive me. Would I be right in saying that players like you, who just go under the radar, would never ever really get a look in regards to like an England cap? Do you ever look at that and think, do you ever look back and think, at times I've deserved like in you? We not come out and say, "Oh, I need to be in there." But do you feel like when you look at some of the people over the years that have maybe been called up and you haven't, do you ever look back and think, "No, I've done all right and I've done enough," but because you're just under the radar, do you think that kind of that's gone against you and you've not actually had that look in?
I think there's been certain periods over the years when, not just speaking for myself, but I think if you weren't necessarily in
top club,
the top six or something like that, you were kind of, I think there was a period where it was go with the tried and tested. In many ways, I think now is a little bit different. Where I think the setup and what Gareth and the guys are doing, they're picking on form, or they're kind of looking at younger lads to come through and guys that are kind of setting the stage alight. So I think it's maybe slightly different now. But for me, I always set out from the very beginning to look back and have no regrets and to give everything. And I think obviously still got some miles in the tank to go yet. But when the day comes, I know I'll be able to hold my hands up and say I gave myself, everything I could give in my career. And sometimes it's, you might not achieve everything that you wanted to achieve, but I can look back with no regrets, and I can look back and hold my head up high.
What would you say one of your career highlights would be?
Career highlights. There's so many.
FA Cup. Okay, what was it like being like the occasion of an FA Cup final?
It's special. I think as a young boy, when I used to go be in the stands at Fratton Park and seeing the games, you kind of you only can dream of it. To go to the old Wembley, to go to games and see the FA Cup finals and what have you, it's something special. It's the magic of the FA Cup, right? It's kind of crazy, and it was a special occasion to be involved in. Obviously, I guess the critic in myself is, well, doesn't necessarily matter because we didn't win. We came so close, but it doesn't.
I know, but
but then everyone around me is like, listen, you got to celebrate the moments that you've done well to get there. And I'm like, yeah, but we didn't win.
It's funny because most players go through their careers never reaching finals when you really look at it.
Yeah.
Let alone winning. So to even be there and in the conversation that I'm at a club now, if we get to the second round of the FA Cup, it's like, do you know what I mean? Like we got knocked out first round, but you always want to just even be involved and get one of those clubs. So to even make it to the final,
I know it's amazing.
It's that perspective,
it is amazing, but you're also the competitor in you is kind of, and the drive in you is
it's still a one-off.
You came up short. You want to win. Like, just imagine the feeling that had we come away and won, like it. That's the levels, and I think it only spurs you on more when you have those setbacks.
Yeah.
I think the biggest learning curve and the biggest kind of motivator at times is sometimes failure.
100%.
Because you have to hit those speed bumps, you have to hit those roadblocks, and see how you come out the other side, see how you react, and we went on another good cup run. And last year and then obviously lost in the semis to Chelsea. But it's one of those things. I think for me, obviously I do celebrate the moments, but there's still something in me, and there's still that bit in me that's kind of like we still come up short.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would be honest with myself if I was saying that I'm not content with just being there.
Yeah.
I am there because I want to win. I'm there because I want to succeed, and I wanted to win that game so much.
Yeah.
But later on in life, I'm sure I'll be kind of looking at it and go, well, geez, this is some hell of an achievement. But right now, I'm kind of like, well, bring on the next opportunity because I want it.
And you guys are, when you look at like outside bets for a nice little cup run, you guys are right up there because you're so hard to beat right now. Opening day Arsenal, but nothing you could really do that day. Do you know what I mean?
What happened last season at home?
We have to look forward.
Yeah. Let's move on.
No, in fact, You know what? Actually, we're gonna talk about that now. Yeah, very, very, very quickly. So, Arsenal fans don't really like Selhurst Park under the lights. I don't think anyone does. And when that fixture came out this season, obviously last year I think it ended 3-0. Yeah, and then this year it was like, oh, the only thing that was a positive was that it's a new look team. Pre-season was great, but within the club, not so much now, but before, like last season, seasons before, did you look at Arsenal and it's not like you're not scared of them, but just know that when Arsenal came up, even though there's quality in the team, it's always a winnable fixture. And has that kind of changed now, do you reckon?
I think first and foremost, you got to compete and you've got to make sure that you go out there and perform, because at the end of the day, the likes of Arsenal, United, City, Chelsea, everyone like that, you know that you have to perform to your top, right? Because of the talent in which that they possess, and individual talent. But on any given day, and with the talent that we possess in our team, like we can hurt anyone. And I think that's shown over the last couple of years, and under, even last season. We can go anywhere and be hard to beat. We can go anywhere and take the game to someone. And I think Arsenal, obviously, much like I guess United, have over this period have gone through a period of trying to refine that level of dominance, I guess, if you could call it that. Because for the last few years, it's been like City and Liverpool have kind of been that step above. And then you've got I know you won't like it, me saying it, but Spurs and Arsenal and United and, Chelsea have been in that almost that bracket above those guys. And I think it's, for years, you would always have top 4, it was a given. Or top 5, top 6, it was a given. Whereas now it's becoming an open field. And I think those teams are trying to cement that again. Trying to get back to that, back to Champions League football, so that they can start to then obviously attract people and come through. But I think Arsenal have kind of gone through a period, and now you kind of see it come in the other side because of the recruitment and the vision, and they haven't just gone out and gone bang, 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 bang.
Just throw money at it.
They've gone, right, okay, almost trying to build a foundation, a base, an identity of the type of players and the character of player that they want to bring in. So I think from what obviously they've done so far this season, it's I think it's certainly the move in the right direction.
Yeah,
I think you guys would be happy.
Over the moon, mate.
Over the moon. I'm going to win the league, win the Champions League.
No.
Don't get carried away, mate.
All of that stuff. I remember years ago saying that. So this is when Arteta first came, and I remember saying it's going to take us about 3 years to even compete at any level again, because that's how far back we were. And I'm like a realist at the end of the day, at the level. I mean, in regards to the level that we're at. In regards to just everything, I'm just a realist. So now, I'm seeing the media and everyone's, title this, title that. I'm like, listen, just stop. I don't think that's going to happen. If it happens, great, but it's never going to happen. I'm just the old media, game by game, let's just see. And I want top 4, and I don't think, because I still think we're 1 or 2 injuries away from really suffering again. So we'll just see. But if we get top 4,
but that's the beauty of and I don't think anyone can ever
keep talking.
Kind of question, the level of success that Arsene Wenger achieved You know, to what was his reign? He never fell out of the Champions League.
Exactly.
I mean, and in the Premier League as well. You know, it's some feat, some kind of achievement to do that, because the Premier League is it's ever moving for one, but the force that comes with it, with the teams, you know, that have kind of, you know, over the course of those years, you know, the investment and the players that were coming in, it was crazy.
Listen, anyway, hopefully better days are coming forward. But you know, if in terms of this season, anyway, like how are you rating Palace's start this season?
I think as a whole, it's been a good start. I think we could have obviously held on or got a few more points on the board, and dropped a couple of points here and there. But I think, you know, with the fixtures that we had at the start of the season, you know, I think it's a positive start.
Mate, you guys had it.
You know, I think we were unfortunate against Liverpool.
Oh.
You know,
and you
a bit of magic.
Well.
Yeah, we played really well.
You played well that game, man. Yeah,
but it's you know, and even the first half against City, second half obviously they done what they done, right? But first half we played well and we took it to them, and the game plan was working.
City. Totally forgot you played City.
You know, so I think it's been a good start. I think obviously you can always. I always laugh because I think you can always look at seasons, you can always look at periods and go, oh yeah, well, if we've done this, we've done that. But, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to always go through moments or ups and downs throughout the season.
Yeah.
You know, I remember a few years ago, we went, I think, what was it, 7 without getting a point on the board. And then we won against Chelsea to get our first points on the board. But people were like, oh no, like the worst start here and what have you. But I was kind of like, well, you'll see teams do this throughout the season. They're in a similar sort of position to us, but it won't get picked up because it's 15 games in, 20 games in.
Yeah.
Whereas at the start of the season, it's so obvious. But there'll be moments throughout the season where teams go 5, 6, 7 without getting a point on the board.
It's a long season.
And people don't necessarily then pick that up, but then they're like, and then we will go on a good run and you win 3, 4 games and you're like, you're out of it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of.
But that's why even like when I talk about football, I always try to just look at it like in the long run, because I feel like now we're in this thing where we're so the old word like reactionary with everything. Like just, you know, I think Pep even said it the other day that they'll talk about Haaland, how good he can be, and Pep was saying just a month ago, you guys were saying he was a waste of money after the Community Shield. Do you get what I'm saying? And now he's just like, oh, he could go on to break Alan Shearer's record. Like, we're so.
It's funny. I've just watched the Man in the Arena. It's a Tom Brady documentary.
Oh, I'm glad I like stuff like that.
And it's like a 10-part series on like his start to where he is now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you go through periods of time where everyone's like bang, 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 battering him, so that, and then it changes and he's the best ever. And then it's down and it's up and what have you. And I think now everyone expects it straight away, and everyone kind of can get carried away, can start to say things very early on. And I think kind of society now is instant, right? But the only thing they can't really work out, or what isn't instant, is a season.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
A marathon isn't instant. A season isn't instant. So you can have an amazing start, but then drop off. You can have a terrible start, but then pick up and go on to win it. So it's kind of, you know, everyone wants to, I guess, predict what's going to happen, but you can't predict.
You can't.
A league.
You can't at all. That's why,
like the Premier League.
That's why it's good to just, you know, not get too high and not get too low with like your criticisms or your praises, because no, if someone's doing well, praise them. Yeah. But you know, I've just got a little thing about when people, oh, he's rubbish, he's this, he's that.
I do as well. I do as well. And I think, you know, I don't think there's enough positive.
There's not. There's absolutely not.
And even when things aren't quite going in the right direction, there's still positives to find. You know, there's still things you can look at. Of course, there's always things you can do better, but no one's perfect, man. No one's kind of...
Yeah, I absolutely hate it. Like recently, like yesterday or the day before, I saw a clip of, oh my gosh, is it the Liverpool striker? They just bought him. Is it Nunes? Yeah, Nunes. I don't know if you've seen the clip where he took the ball off someone and then tried to bend it in, but it's gone way out.
Yeah.
And they're absolutely ripping him, saying he's this, he's that. And I'm just like, please, like, he's a Premier... You know what it means to play in the Premier League, and to just go and just call a player rubbish and blah, 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 blah. But he was the man of the moment at the Community Shield again. I just don't like that.
It's like, what was it? Who's a tennis player? Always gets in trouble.
Kyrgios.
Yeah. What did he say? I think like someone like Tom Hanks or someone was in the was watching, and someone like hurled some abuse at him. Yeah. And he was like, "Are you any good at tennis?" or something like that. And he was like, "No." Okay, so you can't talk to me. Yes. Just like I can't talk to Tom Hanks about acting because I'm no good at acting.
Yes. Actually
or it was something along those lines, but it was like, okay, you got a point.
But it's the world we live in, innit? And you know, you just got to take it. But a couple questions before we wrap up. First of all, I have to mention that I love the way God is at the forefront.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And the reason why I love that is because I feel like it's such a big part of a lot of people's lives. And I would like to see it, you know, shown more. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's hard because it's sport and, you know, it's like you're asked to kind of like draw the line sometimes, but I just wanted to just mention that I love that, and I'm seeing more and more. I think the foreign players, because it's, and I'm Nigerian, innit? Well, British but Nigerian, so it's in culture. So because it's in culture, when you get the foreign players over here, you know, you always see them, but we're just so used to seeing it.
Yeah.
But we don't really get used to seeing, you know, Englishmen, you know, really there praying before a match and everything. And at first, I was going to ask, has that always been, I mean, is that like a thing over the last couple of years? But I saw that you were actually raised in church.
Yeah, I grew up in church, lived in the Bible college for 10 years.
I didn't even know that. Yeah. I thought you kind of like just gave your life about 3 seasons ago, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're just on fire. On fire like that. But
I grew up in church, and you know, I was sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Sorry, I'm not gonna. No, I grew up in church, man, and I think it's something that's been such a an anchor in my life. Something that I've been able to always hold on to when times are good, when times are tough, and I've always been kind of encouraged, and I've never been afraid of, you know, wearing my heart upon my sleeve in many ways, you know, wearing, you know, showing who I am, being vulnerable in that way. Because, you know, I think a lot more people respect you for being who you are if you're true to yourself.
Exactly.
And you stand up for what you believe in. And I think for me, you know, I've been so fortunate to have, you know, the support of my family, my friends, my wife, my kids now, the church and the community that's given me over the years. And I really do think that, you know, God has had his hand moving over all of that. And it's not until you kind of look back on things where you see like his work working amongst it.
That last contract extension.
Yeah, just just everything, man. Just everything. But even people, players, staff, whoever it may be. There's always moments that you can look at and go, wow, okay, that person was in that season of life.
Yeah,
who has helped me so much and given me so much. And it's not necessarily just like, I don't know. It's a hard one to describe, but I think his presence is always there. And I think for me, I've always wanted to be able to glorify him. Not that he needs it, but I wanted to be able to glorify him and kind of just honour him in whatever I do. And I'm by no means perfect in any way. I've fallen off the wagon many times, but I just feel that, if I can stay true to him and steadfast in that, then and honour him, then he'll honour you. And I think it's helped me so much. It's given me a platform. It's given me an anchor. It's given me something that's bigger than myself, bigger than any situation I can be put in. And it's given me something that I can hold on to when needed.
And well said, by the way, absolutely well said. One thing I've also noticed is the community that he actually brings within football, and the place I've really noticed this by. I found. Do you follow Ballers in God?
Yes.
Yeah. So I found Ballers in God a couple of years ago, and to see the amount of players who actually like feel that way too, and they all come together. I've seen them do like Bible studies online and prayers, and I'm just like, wow. So I absolutely love that, and long may it continue.
I think like you mentioned it there. I think obviously with the league changing over the years, it's and with having the foreign players come in, the South Americans, the like you say Nigerians, the African, whoever it may be, they're so much more open to bearing it, and wearing it, whatever religion it may be. But I think it's obviously become more acceptable, and I think like anything, I think people are more open to speaking out about things, speaking openly and honestly about things as well, which is great, because it also, like for me, I'm never someone to ram it down your throat. Do you know what I mean? I'm not someone that's going to come out and be like, I don't want to do that.
Give your life today.
Like, and because I don't think that's just not my character. But if there's a conversation to have, I'll always have it. And actually, it's been great because you have conversations with others who believe in something different, and I've always loved those conversations because ultimately, for me, it's a relationship, and we're around relationships every day. So, it's through what we do on a daily basis that that God can come out and can work and can move. So I've always been open. Yeah, I've always been open. I wear my heart on the sleeve, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, but it's
always a good thing. So I was speaking to my friend who he's good friends with Klein. So I'm friends with Klein's brother, Theo. Do you know Theo at all?
No.
Oh. I'm talking about Nathaniel Klein, by the way. Yeah. So one of our mutual friends, I was talking to him saying that, because I'm trying to get Klein on. But yeah. So anyway, I was saying that you're coming on. And then he was just like, "Hey, Woody, he's on that God thing, innit?" He's on that God thing. And I was like, yeah. And I just find that so funny that you're known like for that. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not a negative. It's like you're known for it, and I just love it. Do you get what I'm saying? He's on that God thing, and I could not stop laughing because
it's funny, man, because that's happened so much over the years. And it's just like, it's almost like people are like, what? Hold on a second. What's going on? But it's good, man. Like you said, I think for me, it's all about, I like him moving, him working through us. And, you know, if I can give that moment, like you said about praying before games, if I can give that moment to him and almost have that calm before the storm, and just to honour him and just say thank you for the privilege and the blessing to be out on the pitch.
That's it, man. Okay, cool. Right, before we wrap up, you've played, 10 years now, let's just say, at your 10th season, you said?
This is 10th and, this is my 11th season at Palace.
Okay, 11th season.
10th, yeah.
First of all,
yeah.
Are you there next year? Do you know yet?
Don't know yet.
Do you want to stay?
Of course.
Okay, of course. Okay. Who's that down to in the club? Is it like a Steve Parish thing, or is it a Vieira thing, or just collective?
I think it's a combination of many, many factors.
Okay, cool. But you don't know what's going on yet?
No.
Okay, cool. Don't worry, you'll be there. If you want to be there, you'll be there. Second of all, throughout those years, there's been different eras in the... So, 2012, who was on top in the... that's Chelsea? 2012.
I don't know.
You have this. But you've had the Man Cities, and then you've had Liverpool. So throughout that era, what's been the era for you which has been the highest in terms of quality? You might even say now, but was there an era you went through where you just like, this is every week?
What, for us in the Premier League?
Yeah, for you in the Premier League.
Listen, I think that the game over the course of the time that I've even been in it in the Premier League, it's evolved so much, and it is getting more and more every single season.
Yeah.
And I don't think people necessarily see it because it's gradually happening, but when you're in it and you're amongst it, it's like it's just levels and levels, and you see that I think like with City now, and you know Liverpool and Chelsea and those, but the press, the energy, the movement, and actually even outside of that, I don't think you can look at the Premier League now and you're like, there's every club has got quality, every club has got talent and a chance, and I think that's why, well, I don't know the stats, but it's the most watched league in the world. You know, across every country in the world, there's Premier League. People know the Premier League because it's almost like it's unpredictable. I think you're always, obviously right now, you're always going to have, you know, like City and Liverpool at the top right now, but you know, it's ever changing, and that's the beauty of the Premier League. It's not just one or two teams dominating for however many years. You know, there's always people stepping on their toes, and it's changing. So I think I'd say, obviously, it was special to come up against the Gerrards and Lampards and like JT and all those guys, Giggsy and that. But in terms of the game, I think it's going levels now.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. It does.
In a roundabout way.
Yeah, because I get it, because I was actually saying this on the podcast a couple of weeks ago that every team you play against, pretty much they've got internationals. Like you're seeing Forest, a team that's just come up spending 150 mil, you know, buying midfielders for 45 mil. And do you know what I mean? Like it's every team is stacked. Do you know what I mean? And you know, there's games where you used to be able to go in and just know it's an easy 3 points. Those days are long gone. Those days are absolutely long gone now. And I think in terms of quality overall, I think now is probably but I think there was a time where I think the top teams were just had a real quality. But I'm like an old head, so
I think
I'm a bit biased.
I know what you mean. I think the physicality side of things there's been difference. I think in terms of the physical state of the game has changed. Yeah, it's not as much because you can't get away with the old school kind of way of doing things.
What's that like?
Leaving a little bit on someone,
knowing you have VAR. Just
listen. I think you at the end of the day, when you're on the pitch, you're not thinking about VAR or this or that. You're just concentrating on doing what you've got to do.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it's what happens. But I think, at the end of the day, someone might mistime something, something like that. It's just the way it is right now, right? But I think, I love those derby days when you used to see the Arsenals and United, and it used to be vicious.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man.
And I think that in many ways is missed.
Yeah.
But it's a new dynamic, new kind of thing now.
Okay, cool. Well, last question. Sorry. I think this is just like a personal question for me, but I say it's a bit unfair having De Bruyne and Haaland on one team. It's not fair. Well, it's fair, obviously.
It's like creating your own team in FIFA,
yeah,
right?
Do you know
Back
what I mean?
in the day. You can make your own characters and make them 100.
I was watching, I think it was their Champions League the other day, and or the week before, whenever, and I was saying, Kevin De Bruyne's going to do like one of them pinpoint passes. Haaland's gonna, and literally, as I've said it, that's how they've scored. But you've obviously played against them this season. What's it like defending against that? Like
it's those games are not just physically demanding but mentally demanding, because just of the levels that they're at and the quality that they possess, they can hurt you at any point. So the focus has to be so high. And at the end of the day, if you don't nullify it, if you don't stop it, then eventually their quality is gonna shine, right, and it's gonna come through. And sometimes you need a little bit of the rub of the green to go your way when you're playing those teams.
Yeah, boy, you didn't get that against them. So, but yeah, Haaland's a strong guy, isn't it?
It's like a Zlatan.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Obviously, just a younger version.
Oh, it's
in many ways, in his stature, his strength,
that's a good comparison. Because he just looks. So I don't want to remind you of this, but that goal against you guys, and I think it was you that he kind of just fended off a bit. Just like you can't get him off the ball. You just
no, and that and
And
once he's got the right side of you,
that's it. I think that's what it was. Not that you're weak or anything, but I think that's what I think that's what it was, because I remember the gap between you. Like he went in there and then you tried to come. But anyway, he shouldn't be like when he gets going. He's athletic. He shouldn't be able to do that with his size. But I see why you say that.
Why? Why shouldn't he be able to?
Yeah, it's like a robot. He's just such a physical specimen to be able to have that much ability, agility, whatever the word is. It's a joke. And then you got Kevin De Bruyne just needs half a yard. Just
Bernardo Silva and jeez,
I love Bernardo Silva.
It's like I used to one of my favorite players. Yeah. Even now, man, when you see him, it's still just
I see him against United the other week. Okay, but seeing as you've gone through all of the, you're not actually David Silva to this one, but which player has that you've come up against has impressed you the most? And also given you the toughest time? They can be two separate players. You're not allowed to say David Silva.
I think right now, Kevin De Bruyne is levels.
Yeah,
just a whole different levels.
Ridiculous.
Hazard was when he was at Chelsea doing his thing was frightening. Yeah. Because you didn't know which way he was going to go, what he was going to do. Geez, man, there's been a few over the years.
You've had a good
good crop.
Yeah. You've had honestly, because normally when I ask this question to people, they've been in the Prem for like 2-3 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you've literally had, you've gone through the Agueros.
Sané was next level as well.
Who?
Sané.
Oh, Sané. Oh, Sané was... He was one of my favourite... Still is one of my favourite wingers.
Just direct.
That's it.
Just direct. Bang.
Him and Sterling on
even
that's
like
chaos.
Mane and stuff like that, it's like, yeah. But what a joy, man.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course, man.
And when you kind of look at that, and when you look back at games, and you look back at that, and you kind of see the world class players that you come up against, you're like,
yeah, man. Honestly, man. Yeah, literally, literally, just pray before, just hope for the best, man.
Is this real?
Because these are like players at the highest level, and it's not every day you get to play against those, and you're doing it time and time again over. But yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything I've not covered? That season when you didn't play as many games, was that injury or just you were just out of favour?
There was one I got injured, and that's when Az broke through. So I got injured, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka broke into the team.
I think that's the season I'm thinking of. Yeah,
and then he played, and then I came back in, and then the following season he set the world alight.
Yeah. Okay,
and to be fair, when he come in, man, wow.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him though, man. Like with how he gets, because of how he came up. We're gonna wrap up the way, but because of how he came up, he was instantly compared to Trent, in the time, and at the time, I was saying that I preferred Wan-Bissaka because I'm one of those guys that I like my defenders to defend first, and at the time I didn't think Trent was that good a defender, but I just feel like he was at such a young age. I think those years where it's vital that you get like the coaching and everything, he probably got left out a bit, being at such a big club. But that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, I'll probably cut that.
It shapes you, right, man.
Yeah.
Shapes you.
But yeah, no, thank you very much for coming on. I hope you have had fun doing it. This will probably come out, I don't know, probably Monday or something. So thank you very much again. And guys watching, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm going to find a comment that asks for you, because on this podcast we talk real football and we have real guests on. And people will actually ask, because you're like a proper professional footballer. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to find it for you. And yeah, guys, like, subscribe, share. I'm going to put Joel's Instagram and everything in the... Have you got Twitter?
I do, but...
You don't use it?
No, I'm not really that
Are you in control of it though?
Social. Yeah.
Oh, no, I know you're not really good. I know you're not... Bloody hell. But I think it's easier to know that you're not good with that and you're not just paying me off.
Yeah.
So it was actually... Anyway, we'll talk about it after. But yeah. So guys, keep liking, subscribing, sharing, and we'll be back. Ooh, the next one we have for you is going to be a good one. But
this wasn't.
We'll this one?
What? This wasn't.
Awful.
This was
awful.
Terrible.
No, they're always good. No,
Thanks for having me,
I've
man.
enjoyed this. Like, honestly,
good.
I've actually really I've been looking forward to this one, and I've really, really, really enjoyed it, man. Like,
making me trek all this way over here. It's been
you're good.
It was worth it.
It
was worth the wait, right?
What was?
Me coming over here
Nah.
for the podcast.
No,
It wasn't worth the
I've got
wait.
a couple episodes of not Game of Thrones, House of Dragon to watch that I've
I haven't started it.
for this. No, I'm joking. No, it's definitely worth the wait, man. And thank you for coming, man. And I think that, we shouldn't let that be overlooked, that you came out your way. Do you get what I'm saying? To come.
Don't be silly, mate. It's a pleasure.
Because
nice.
Obviously you live like near Birmingham. So I didn't really want to put where you really live. But yeah, all right then guys, we're out in a bit. Bye.
Ciao.